I don't generally hear of a lot of people talking behind my back or talking negatively. Or maybe it's because it's
Yo.
behind my back and I'm just unaware.
All right, so we are here with Andrew Min. I've known Andrew a while back, and he's obviously grown up, and now he's running his own business. So wanted to interview him. The first question, tell me about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Andrew Min. I'm 28 years old, and I am the owner of Crab and Claw Seafood and Andy Seafood Market. I run the operations of the business. I'm like the lead contact for most of our vendors. I do like the pickups, set the prices. So I guess do the financing. I do the accounting. I do the payroll, the hiring. But I have a lot of help with two amazing managers and eight other employees. So we have a great team that really allows our business to operate as efficiently and as best as possible. Before continuing on, I just want to also say thanks to you, John, for having me on here. It's an honor and it's quite humbling too. I don't know if I like deserve to be on here really or on this platform like this, but I really appreciate it. Thank you.
If you're willing to go all the way from like the time you were a child all
Hmm.
the way till now, how did
Okay.
you get into being an owner at Crab and Claw? Because I know that you were working at KPMG, right? That was like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
last job. But let's just like go way back here. Let's just start
Okay.
about your history. Let's talk a little
Right.
bit about Andrew Min here.
First and foremost, I was born and raised here in Greater Philadelphia area. Went to Wissahickon School District. Graduated from Wissahickon High School. And I guess before going into like the careers and like the majors and how I got to where I am now, I guess it's good to preface with the fact that I was actually not that good in school. For the people who like get to know me later on, they're like, oh, you're working this like nice corporate job, and then you're like, killing it in business and stuff. I do want to emphasize too, like, for anyone listening, maybe who's in high school or college and who just doesn't have it figured out, it's okay. Not everyone has exactly what they want to do all planned out. And I didn't really care much for like studies and school in high school. Kind of a bad kid, I guess, like drinking, smoking, skipping classes here and there. I'm just being very honest.
Yeah.
But I think what I really learned about myself is that if I have an interest in something, then I can be quite passionate. And once I'm passionate and very driven, then I think experience and time kind of prove that I can be like decently like successful at what I'm very driven at. But there needs to be that interest first for me. Subjects like Spanish and stuff, I was like failing, like chemistry didn't really make sense to me. I didn't care. So I got like D's. But
Yeah.
I was very interested in math, right? So like I was in like AP Calc with kids older than me. I like was getting perfect scores on SAT ones and twos in math.
Wow. Okay.
So even though I may not have been like the biggest scholar in high school, because I excelled in like math or like I like founded our like school's first like b-boy club and showed like I guess leadership skills in that. And I was teaching like 30 students at a time and stuff like through SAT and stuff like that. I was still able to get into a Penn State branch campus, and so I spent my first year there. And not gonna lie, I was partying a lot, and
Let's go.
and,
I'm just kidding.
and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. In a year, I would have been gone to main campus and then graduated from a really well-known school.
Yeah.
But because I didn't have like the why and stuff, like I felt very lost out there, and it was a very humbling decision. And shout out to my sister. My sister helped make this decision. Instead of like just partying out there, why don't you just come back home and go to community college until you figure it out? But for me, I was like, what? Like I'm already
Yeah.
at like a
Yeah.
good university. Like why would I take steps backwards and come home
Yeah.
when I'm like living the dream out here and having so much fun? But I ultimately made the humbling decision to come back home. And that's when I was helping my dad out more with his business, which I now run. And then I more seriously was managing the business on the weekends throughout high school and throughout college after I came back from Penn State. While I was at Monco, I felt more less pressure and freedom to kind of really like figure out what I want to do, right? It was less expensive and stuff like that or whatever. So I dabbled around and then I ultimately ended up deciding like, hey, like I think business is the thing for me. I took some business courses and I just started like acing all of them. And it was like a weird feeling from like not doing so well in school to suddenly like doing really well in things that are more compatible with me. I transferred to Temple's business school, where I was introduced to the program, like MIS program and major, which is Management Information Systems. So for those who don't know, it's pretty much like a bridge between IT and business. And
Mhm.
so shout out to my good friend Peter Huang. He introduced me to it because he was already in the program. Throughout school, I interned at a company called AmerisourceBergen. They were a Fortune 12 company. Now they're like Fortune 9 or 10 something. They're North America's largest pharmaceutical distribution company. And I was doing like financial like analytics there, and it was really cool to me. I really liked it. And then I ultimately graduated and got a job offer at KPMG, which is like one of like the big four accounting firms. And I
Right.
was doing IT auditing. It was a very cool like corporate experience. It's like, you know, kind of got a prestige and everything, but it wasn't really for me, I don't think. So my father, it's a whole long story of how he got there, and he did really well for himself. And he always in pictured kind of, if anyone's gonna take over the business, that it would be me, right? Like so he kind of like groomed me for it. He would like, you know, teach me the ropes, have me there every weekend, every holiday. But he also told me like, hey, look, like, you know, this isn't an easy career. There's a lot of benefits to it too, but also there's also a big benefit in being surrounded with like highly educated people and working a more in a better work-life balance type of environment. And so he really told me like, look, like I'll give you 10 years to really try this whole corporate thing. Like go as far as you can, you know, like go to like VP level, whatever, like just go for it. And if then and then like you decide like, you know, like this isn't it for me and I really want to take over this business, then I will like, you know, show you everything from the ground up and I'll like, you know, have you take over the business. So that was the plan. And I was like approaching my 2 year mark at KPMG, about to become like a senior associate and stuff. And then unfortunately, due to COVID, my father passed away. So it was very unexpected. He was overall very healthy, but he was around like that age, like 63-year-old male. It was before the vaccine, and it was pretty bad, and he passed away because of that. And so it seemed like not the easiest, but an obvious and almost like dutiful kind of decision to take over the business. Now I'm in my second year running the business, and it's been a rocky road. It's been a lot of learning experiences and a big learning curve. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got here.
No, that's awesome. Korean Americans are now specialized, right, to become doctors, accountants, dentists, right?
Right, right,
But
right.
but I always stress, me as a business owner myself, I always stress, hey, like why don't we double down on our businesses,
Mhm.
as Korean Americans, and making it better. And like kudos to you, man. Like I know that you're grinding it out and you're doing what you have to do. So yeah, next question. What is a common myth about your job or your field of expertise?
I guess on a comical note, I guess like a myth would be like, oh, you always smell like fish, but like I do. I guess when I come home from work, I do end up like smelling. Like as soon as I get home, I throw all my clothes in the wash. But on a more serious note, I guess like people thought that my dad kind of had it easy, I think,
Mm,
running the business. I
mhm,
don't think anyone takes away from like, excuse me, how hard he worked to get to his position.
right.
I think people thought, oh, like he worked really hard when he was young to end up like getting to this position, owning such a big business that like now like he's just chilling. Like he must just, you know, he has people working for him. He probably just sits back and like goes golfing and like life is good.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like before I took over the business too, I never, you know, as close as I was with my dad, I never knew how stressful it could be, I guess, and how much work went into running this business. As a business owner, you are constantly thinking like 24/7 about your business. Even when you're in bed, even on your days off, you're thinking about your business. Something comes up, you have to take it. You're putting out fires all the time, you know. But I guess that's a common myth, yeah.
Yo, so what's an insult that you received that you're most proud of?
Can not always be the best on a day to day, but that is very useful for me in business is that I have absolutely no problem with confrontation.
Okay.
I am very comfortable with confrontation. I don't look for confrontation. I don't look for conflict. I would much rather have a peace of mind. But if there is an issue and something needs to be addressed, I have no like anxiety. I have no doubts. I have no like, oh, what if? Like, I believe that I can very well speak and communicate with someone to hear their side, me explain like logistically like my point and kind of resolve the issue. Something's very unethical, then I also have no problem pointing it out in a more assertive way for them to know to never do it again. Some people who are more passive may think like, oh, like, wow, like I could never say that. Or like, oh, wow, that seems like very aggressive maybe or something. But in the world of business, you have to be, right? You have to like set your boundaries. You have to let them know like, hey, like this is unacceptable. This is not like up to par in like our quality and what we expect and our standards of business. And then it really puts certain vendors in check. And I had to do that with one person who kind of like screwed us over once. And I completely like my father worked with him for like all 14 years. I cut him off. I
Oh
completely
wow.
cut him off and I stopped buying from him for like a month. And after flipping out at him, and then he calls back finally, and I ignore a few phone calls, and then he calls back again, and I answer, and he apologizes, and he says he'll make it right, and then no problems ever since.
Oh
So
wow. Wow. What do people misunderstand about you the most?
I don't generally hear of a lot of people talking behind my back or talking negatively, but maybe it's because it's
Go.
behind my back and I'm just unaware. So, for example, I'm very present on social media, like as you might be able to tell. And like for others, it might seem like too much. I don't know, like because there's some people who are like really shy, right, and very introverted, and it's not even introverted because a lot of introverted people may post the most, but people are very like private. And I think for me, it's like I have nothing to hide, and I use the platforms as very openly as almost like a self blog of just kind of my journey, right? Like the good moments and the bad. But I like to post a lot, and I think some people feel some type of way about it, but I could really care less. For example, I'm very passionate about food. I like love food, and
Yeah.
I think which is why it's great that I took over a business that's food related. It allows me to be more invested in like the quality and things of that nature. But um, so I may like post going to eat out at like a nice restaurant, or I, love my fiance and soon to be wife, and I might post like going on adventures with her, or like just the things I'm thankful for with my friends. And so, because I A have a tendency to post more often than the average person, and B I like to document good moments, I think people may have a misunderstanding that like, oh, like he just has it so good, maybe. Oh, he's having so much fun, blah 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 blah. But I think what I'd like to emphasize is these are really like 3 4 hours in an entire like week's worth of just grinding and headaches and stresses and things that come up in like daily life.
What specific systems, products, tools, people are you looking for in your business?
First and foremost, you need the right people to run a business, right? The product is extremely important too, but if you have the right people, then they'll prioritize the product too, right? And hopefully you do too as a business owner.
Right.
So I've really invested over the past year and a half, a little over, on getting the right people, like quality people. And it's cost me a good amount more. I actually pay 50% more in labor than my father did. And for those who don't understand the weight of that, it's a lot.
Heavy, man.
It's a heavy hit. It's a reinvestment in the business. By having quality people who show up, who care, who come on time because they care about the business and do their best there, the customers are more satisfied. They feel like they're taken care of. And you as a business owner have a lot less stress to deal with as well. Number two, it's the quality of product. Make sure we're getting the best product. And if we are, we're getting the best prices on it so we can offer the best prices to customers. Now that I've fixed most like I guess hardware things and in the store, I want to really start doubling down and focus on the technology, on the social media, on the advertising, the marketing. So I've been using the social media more. We went from like, I don't know, like 290 followers to now like 2,900 followers. But that's just the beginning. I want to just like start really like focusing on making like reels, like
Let's
TikTok
go. You
and
got
like
TikTok.
yeah, with like music, with the seafood, and just like make it really entertaining. reaching out to influencers. We got like Raina Huang, a huge like foodie, to come out and review our place. Right now, we're creating a website that's gonna have updated menu items, and I'm trying to get online ordering on there as well. So yeah, little things like that, step
No,
by
that's
step.
awesome.